Well, guys, I've never done a tribute video for any one person ever, and this video it's about a guy that was probably the most impactful person in my life outside of my family. Some of the guys in my family. I met Mr. Coy quite a few years ago. Um, I came off the road to do a job that was semi-local, where I was home daily, running groceries for McLean, like leave today, come back tomorrow kind of deal. And then be home that night, whatever. The associate pastor of the church that we were going to was having a Bible study in his garage in the mornings. So when I was not at work, I would go there. And as I got more involved with things at the church, I got to know Mr. Coy. Mr. Coy was always at the Bible study, and he was easy. He was the oldest man there by a good bit, by a good bit. The rest of us were roughly the same age, within 10 years of each other. Mr. Coy, he's a product of the 1920s. He was born late in the 20s, served in the army in the early 50s during Korea. Stayed true to his family. Met his wife he was in the army in the early 50s, and they stayed together to her passing in 2018. Mr. Coy was a man that was steadfast in his faith. You could not ever argue that. You would know where he stood. He never had a bad word to say about people. He was firm in his belief. He had a firm handshake. He was not a tall man in stature, physical stature, but in character and in faith, he was a giant. He was the kind of man that the younger guys should have really paid attention to and learned what they could from. See, he had more knowledge of Scripture than a lot of pastors I know, and he didn't flaunt it. He was not seminary trained. He was not ordained or licensed minister. He could pray with a boldness and an assurance that most pastors that I know could not do and still cannot do. He didn't have to yell. He didn't have to scream. He didn't have to holler. He didn't have to be loud in his prayer. He didn't use a lot of words. He took Scripture serious. When Scripture said don't use a lot of words, he didn't use a lot of words. He could pray very boldly, very confidently, and use just enough words to get his point across. That was it. I learned a lot about how to carry myself in the faith and deal with people when things were not going well. And that was very instrumental and very fortuitous for me that I met him when I did, because of the turmoil that was to come in my family with issues surrounding my ex. I don't know if I would have handled things the way I did if I had not had the opportunity to meet him and get to know him.